past 24 hours, tensions across the Middle East have taken a dramatic and dangerous turn. An Iran-backed Iraqi armed group has claimed responsibility for launching at least 19 attacks on United States military bases across Iraq and the wider region. These attacks, reportedly carried out using drones and missiles, mark one of the most intense waves of coordinated strikes in recent days. At the same time, hundreds of kilometers away in Lebanon, powerful explosions were reported in Beirut's southern suburbs, an area widely known as a stronghold of Hezbollah. These strikes are believed to be part of ongoing Israeli military operations targeting what it describes as militant infrastructure. What we are witnessing is not just a series of isolated incidents, but a rapidly expanding regional conflict that is drawing in multiple countries, armed groups, and global powers. To understand what's happening, we need to step back and look at the bigger picture. This crisis is part of a larger and escalating confrontation involving Iran, Israel, and the United States, with Iraq, Lebanon, and even Yemen becoming active battlegrounds. Over the past few weeks, tensions have intensified following direct and indirect attacks between these sides. Iran-backed groups across the region, particularly in Iraq, have become increasingly active. These groups operate under what is often referred to as the Islamic Resistance in Iraq, a network of militias aligned with Iran's regional strategy. Their goal is clear: to pressure U.S. forces and challenge American influence in the Middle East. According to their own statements, these groups have been targeting U.S. military installations using advanced drone technology and missile systems. In fact, similar claims have been made before, with reports indicating that dozens of operations have been carried out within a single day. These attacks are not random. They are part of a calculated strategy, one that aims to stretch U.S. military resources, create instability, and send a clear political message. Meanwhile, Israel's role in this conflict has also intensified significantly. In response to threats from Iran and its allied groups, Israel has been conducting airstrikes across multiple fronts, including Syria, Iran, and Lebanon. Beirut, particularly its southern suburbs, has become a key target due to the presence of Hezbollah. Recent reports confirm that Israeli airstrikes hit parts of Beirut, causing large explosions and forcing civilians to evacuate. The situation on the ground is tense, with fears of further escalation growing by the hour. For many residents, this is a terrifying reminder of past conflicts, where entire neighborhoods were reduced to rubble. But this is where things become even more concerning. This is no longer just a conflict between two sides. Instead, it is evolving into a multi-layered regional conflict involving Iran and its allied militias, Israel and its military operations, the United States and its bases across the region, non-state actors like Hezbollah and other armed groups. Each side is responding to the other, creating a cycle of retaliation that is becoming harder to control. The attacks on U.S. bases are particularly significant. Why? Because they directly involve one of the world's most powerful militaries. U.S. forces are stationed across Iraq and other parts of the Middle East as part of ongoing security operations. When these bases are targeted, it raises the risk of direct confrontation between the United States and Iran-backed groups. And history has shown that such confrontations can escalate very quickly. In recent days, reports have indicated that U.S. and allied forces have already responded with retaliatory strikes against militia positions. These counterattacks are aimed at deterring further aggression. But they also risk fueling the cycle of violence. At the same time, Iraq itself is facing a complex and fragile situation. The country is caught in the middle of this conflict. On one hand, it hosts U.S. military personnel and facilities. On the other hand, it is home to powerful Iran-backed militias that operate within its borders. This creates a dangerous internal tension, where Iraq risks becoming a battlefield for external powers. Recent analysis suggests that Iraqi leadership is struggling to maintain balance as pressure mounts from both sides.
For ordinary Iraqi citizens, this means living under constant uncertainty, where any escalation could have devastating consequences. Lebanon, too, is facing a similar crisis. The strikes in Beirut are not just military actions, they have real human consequences. Thousands of civilians have already been displaced due to ongoing hostilities. Entire communities are being forced to flee, unsure if they will ever be able to return to their homes. Infrastructure is being damaged. Economic conditions are worsening. And the fear of a full-scale war is growing stronger every day. So the question now is, where does this all lead? There are three possible scenarios. Scenario 1, limited escalation. In this case, the conflict continues at its current level, with periodic attacks and counterattacks, but without a full-scale war. This is the most likely short-term outcome. However, even this scenario is dangerous, as it keeps the region in a constant state of instability. Scenario 2, regional war. If attacks intensify, especially if U.S. forces suffer significant casualties, the situation could quickly escalate into a broader regional war. This could involve direct confrontation between the U.S. and Iran, large-scale Israeli operations in Lebanon, increased involvement from other regional actors. Such a war would have massive consequences, not just for the Middle East, but for the entire world. Scenario 3, de-escalation. There is also a possibility, though currently less likely, that diplomatic efforts could reduce tensions. International pressure, negotiations, and back-channel diplomacy could help prevent further escalation. But given the current pace of events, this scenario seems uncertain. What makes this situation particularly dangerous is how interconnected everything has become. An attack in Iraq triggers a response in Syria. A strike in Lebanon leads to retaliation elsewhere. And each new incident increases the risk of a larger conflict. This is what experts often call a chain reaction conflict. And right now, that chain reaction is already underway. Another critical factor is the use of modern warfare technology. Drones, precision missiles, and surveillance systems are playing a major role in these attacks. This allows groups to strike targets from a distance, increasing both the frequency and unpredictability of attacks. It also makes it harder to control escalation, because even a small strike can trigger a massive response. For the global community, this situation is deeply concerning. The Middle East is not just a regional hub, it is a critical center for global energy supplies, trade routes, and geopolitical stability. Any major conflict here could impact oil prices, international trade, global security. In fact, past conflicts in the region have shown how quickly local tensions can turn into global crises. And that brings us back to the present moment. 19 attacks on U.S. bases. Explosions in Beirut. Multiple countries on high alert. This is not just another headline. This is a warning sign. A warning that the situation in the Middle East is becoming increasingly volatile and potentially uncontrollable. As events continue to unfold, the world is watching closely. Because what happens next could shape the future of the entire region. So the real question is this just another phase of conflict? Or the beginning of something much bigger? Let me know what you think. Do you believe the situation will escalate into a full-scale war, or will diplomacy find a way to stop it?